Live-ish. We go through this every Thursday because I have to manually hit the buttons on different platforms. So Instagram, as we all know by now, is a little testy. So we're going to give her a few minutes to get herself together. We might be live. We might not be live there. Who knows? I'm going to check Facebook where I know that we are live, but it, for whatever reason, is always private for the first few minutes. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm live and we're live and you guys can see us. So let me change that. And then I will also make sure that LinkedIn is cooperating. Click to join. And mute that. All right. So we're live in all the places. I see us 5 different places now. So we're just faces everywhere. And I don't know why I have captions on, so turn that off. So I am Tonisha Stalneker of SVS, and we are here for episode 5 or 6 of 5. There we go. Entrepreneur Unplugged. I need to find a better way to track this in my face. I don't remember. And I'm so excited. I am here with Laura Murphy, and she is a fellow HoneyBook Pro, fellow systems, tech, buttons, beautiful things person. We have known each other through the HoneyBook world for quite some time, and we got the pleasure of meeting in person in December. So I have a special place for all of my guests that are also pros that I've gotten to meet. So it's like really cool.
Yeah.
But Laura is here with us today and is talking about time management strategies for busy entrepreneurs. So before we get started, I got to give all of my housekeeping things. So the dog's in the house. So we don't know where that's going to go. He could be on camera any moment. The husband could come in. The whole point of this is life is going to life. I have a fan that seems to be on the warpath today, and it just keeps moving. So if you hear a rattling sound and me jump off camera, it's because of that. So I've gotten all of my potential mishaps out of the way. Laura, you have anything that we need to be prepared about? Lights?
My cat is sitting behind me, so if he decides to crawl across the computer, so be it.
So if I just see the tail going by,
Yep.
I know. All right. So welcome. And I'm glad you're here. And so I'm curious, why this topic? Well, actually, let me hold back. You can introduce yourself and then we'll dive in.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm Laura Murphy. I am a very multi-passionate entrepreneur. So started in the world of wedding photography, then began my brand photography journey for small business owners, mainly personal branding. And then that turned into me needing systems for myself because I was adding more to my own plate. And that's when I discovered HoneyBooks. That was 2015 when I signed up for my own HoneyBook account. And then come 2017, I started doing workflow design and system setup like completely on accident and for friends. And then that got the ball rolling, became a HoneyBook Pro in 2020, one of the first HoneyBook Pros. I think probably you were one of the first as well. So became a system strategist by chance, and I am also a business coach. I have courses, I host retreats. I am an Airbnb host with my husband, an RVer. So have a lot of baskets, a lot of plates in the air, and some days I hate it, and most days I absolutely love it. I love that I get to use the creative side of my brain. We also dabble in website design when they're past clients of another service. I don't publicly market it, although I guess I just did. And so we secretly do that on the side. And so I really like the mix of being able, I feel like I'm a very middle-brained person where I am both equal parts type A, type B, and creative and strategic. And all of my strengths finders will also say that I am ideation meets strategy, which is sometimes hard because I have all the visionary tendencies, but also all of the integrator tendencies and systematic tendencies and all of that. So I love the mix of being able to do a photo shoot in the morning and workflow strategy in the afternoon. So that is my background. And we're going on year 11 as a business owner, I believe.
That is amazing. And given that it's, Women's Month and all of that, it's really cool to see women that have been in business so long. Since
Yeah.
that is we are the unicorns, and that it's not normal to make it last longer than a couple of years.
Yeah.
So, and you've been in business pre-pandemic, so you have
Yes.
the background of what it's been before everybody went online and went inside, and then now everybody's back outside. And so, I think it's kind of cool that you've seen so many different ebbs and flows of online business life.
Yes.
The wild, wild west, as I lovingly call it. So,
yes.
So now back to my original question.
Yeah.
Why this topic?
Well, as you can see from all of the balls in the air, I used to work 80 to 100 hours a week easily. I had a full-time job when I started my business. I first worked as an interior designer at a design build firm, and then from there quit there to work for a photo studio. So it was a big commercial studio. We did all the work for Toys R Us and Ross stores, like Ross shoes, I think. And I was the editor. So I was editing 40 hours a week in the studio, coming home, editing my own wedding photos. I didn't have systems. I did not have time management. I'm probably ADHD to an extent. So I desperately needed better management. And my husband is like the world's best time manager on the planet. I am still jealous despite all of the tips and tools and tricks I have in the toolbox. He is just naturally exceptional at it. And I realized whether it was time management or systems or workflows or automation, there was so much more I wanted to do with my business and with my life. I want to squeeze the most out of every day. I want to be intentional. I want to get to, I hope I make it to 100 years old like my grandpa. I hope I get to 100 years and be like, damn, like I lived a really good life. I did everything I wanted to do. And I think that we know time is our only thing that we don't get back. So I want to be very intentional about how I spend it. And with that comes being efficient with my time and utilizing the 24 hours I have in a day to the best of my ability. And like, granted, I do not do the best of my ability every single day. Life's. But I have gotten quite obsessed with like trying my best to manage time well, manage energy well, and manage focus well. Because I think all three of those really play into things. And I think that energy and focus specifically are not talked about under the umbrella that much. But I think I realized that time management is less so my problem these days, and it's more energy management. Like I'll hit the 2 p.m. wall and be like, I can't do anything else. And so now it's like working backwards to figure out how do I manage my energy and my focus in order to also that layer up manage my time better. So to answer the question very shortly, I want to do more in life and business. And so with that, I need to do well with my time.
I think it's cool that you touched on the energy part, because I think, yes, time is time, and there's only so much of it, and that's not going anywhere. But I think the energy piece is even more important, because there are some of us that you and I both wear loads of many hats. And I would imagine, like me, you probably get people that are like, how are you able to do all of this? Aren't you tired? Aren't you exhausted? Why don't you go sit down? That's what I hear, is like, oh, you should go sit down somewhere. You're doing too much, and sometimes it does feel like too much. So I think the energy part is important, because there are some days where it's like, today I ran my agency, worked with my one-to-one clients, worked with some of the consulting programs and firms and supported them, went to swim practice, did a board meeting, cooked dinner. If I'm really feeling froggy, I might have worked out, probably not.
Yeah.
Like I vacuumed, I cleaned around the house. I did all of these things today and I still feel fine. And then there's some days where I do a third of it and it's like, this is it. That's all I got.
Yep. Oh yeah.
There's nothing else happened today. I vacuumed. That's the day,
Yep.
But I think that what I've tried to do is focus on, one, that I have the freedom I guess, to make the life that I want to make. And I honor the fact that while my calendar is full and my plate is full and overfloweth on a regular basis, it's filled with things that I've chosen to do.
Yeah. Yes, it's a really good reminder.
It's very few things that it's like, I hate doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I've just made it a point that I'm like, I'm getting older. And so I am very conscious about where I put my time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't ever, well, I try my best not to be someplace that I really don't want to be.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm honest about it too. Like I get invited to things and they're like, oh, do you want to come? No. I really don't.
So my brother-in-law does all the time.
I'm like, I really don't. And it's nothing against you. I love you. I don't want to be there. But it's like, to me, that's where I guess, I'm curious what your answer would be like. To me, when people talk about wasting time, to me, time wasted is time spent on things that I didn't want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a huge time waster. I also think that without good systems, and I think everything comes down to like working smarter, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that was the biggest turning point for me, was like actually thinking about what does working smarter, not harder, truly mean in the sense of my own business, and how do I put that into practice. And that was something that I used to talk about in college all the time. So I was a design student in college. Design majors are notorious for pulling all-nighters multiple times a week. That was my life. I lived in the studio, slept under my desk all the time. And in our wood shop, they had a sign. So we used to have to build like wood models of our design projects. And on the chalkboard, it said, work smarter, not harder. And measure twice, cut once. And like all of these, fun sayings from our wood shop teacher. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then like, it wasn't until after college that I was like, wait, hold on. Like, let that like sink in. What does that actually mean? And so I think that got me very obsessed with, if I have to do something more than twice in my business, there needs to be a repeatable process for it.
Yep.
Now I have what I call the 6 R's of streamlining. There is repeat. So if I'm repeating myself, create a system that I can either delegate or automate. If there is a roadblock, something that is consistently not happening, consistently being procrastinated on, like figuring out the root of that and figuring out how to make it more efficient. Repurposing. So repurposing content, like you are doing it right now. You are streaming to 5 different places. Like that is working smarter, not harder, people. And there's 3 more that off the top of my head I'm not remembering because that's a lot of R's, but I'm always thinking through, how can I repurpose? How can I recycle? How can I repeat this? And so that's why I love workflows, because I say, if you're a wedding photographer and you do 30 weddings a year, you better have a client experience that you are repeating for every single one of those people.
Yeah.
Because then your time management, put it into automation in Honeybook or Dipsado or High Level or whatever the heck CRM you want to use, and then you are not wasting time thinking about what you have to do. And I think that is a huge time waster that people are doing. And that's why I like systems so much, is because the system tells me what to do every day. So I'm not sitting here with my ADHD brain of being like, I have 250 things that are in my brain, when I'm not good at prioritizing.
Yeah.
But Honeybook and ClickUp does that for me. It's like, hey, Laura, do this thing for Tonisha today. Do this thing for Mariah today. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I could do that. So yeah, time wasters is like, doing the same minutia over and over without creating some sort of system around it, and just working harder is the time waster.
Yeah, so with my memory issues, while systems have always been a big thing for me, it was even more important now because I have to use a system to help with human error.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to create a system or backup plan in case I forgot to do something. And that old adage, if you forgot it, it wasn't important. Oh no, I forget important stuff like sending invoices.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sending the proposal to the person that actually said yes. Days later, it's like, I feel like I was supposed to do something, you know?
Yeah.
And so creating those processes so that I'm not, the time waster there is, well, one, a few days have passed and it's potentially business lost. But then it was like I would beat myself up for another couple of days after I might have forgotten something. And so now I've automated so many things. Like if it's something that I need to be involved in for my team to move forward, I'm like, you don't want that. So let's automate and take me out of it, because the time that we were spending where it was like, hey, where's this? Hey, where's this? You know, I might have been in the middle of a meeting and now they can't do the work because I didn't give the access or I didn't set something up and they're just sitting.
Yep.
And so that type of time management where it's not just my time that has to be factored in, but in my case for the agency side, I need to make sure that I'm not being a barrier for them being able to be efficient and have time management as well. And so the processes and systems and tools and stuff, it's not just the things that tell me what to do. It's making it to where it's either just going to do it, or it also lets my team be able to be efficient as well.
Yep.
Funny enough, when it comes to like business, when I say what we are able to do, or we have the freedom and flexibility, I think the other thing when it comes to entrepreneurship with time management is really looking at the services you offer. Part of the reason I had somebody ask me like, oh, you know, did you go to school for technology? I'm like, no, I went to school for communications and I got a master's in leadership. So nothing said anything nothing pointed at all. The roads did not point me here. But when I first started the business and I was doing everything, it was like, if it was something that I could do, I did. And I was doing the 60 hours plus a week, you know, and exhausted and tired and all of that, and grumpy and grouchy. And so then I started to look at like, what are the things that I liked doing this year?
Yeah.
And part of it was being honest about the fact that I don't want, side note to my clients, I adore you. You're amazing. I love all of you. I appreciate your business. That being said, it is not my nature to want to talk to someone every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, personally, I don't pick up the phone and talk to my friends every single day.
Right.
It's just not me. But there were certain levels of business services that I was offering that required daily touch. And for me to be like on the ready for 9 hours a day for a client. And I was like, all right, so take me out of it. I don't want it. So part of the reason we picked systems and automation and tech and web design and all those things as services is because, not to say that it's not time sensitive, but we have flexibility with all of those services.
Yeah.
You know, you need a system, you know, you need it preferably by this date. You don't really care in between that, whether it takes us 2 hours, 20 hours, you don't care for doing it 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 1 p.m. You know, the devil in the details part of like being locked in and trapped to your computer to get the work done isn't there. And so that's why it's like so important to me to make sure that I am being honest with myself, but then honest with my clients about when you can hear from us, when you'll get access to me, when I'm available, when I'm absolutely not available, and sticking by that. You know, the CEO days, I put it in the packet so they know, like, you're probably never going to talk to me on a Friday. Unless for some reason I've just decided to open it up. But, you know, being super intentional, not just with life, but like in business with, you know, what I offer, what I put out there, and where those boundaries are.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's that protecting of energy.
Yes. Yes. And I think, so on the energy note, one thing I think all entrepreneurs need to do is figure out their most productive time of day.
Yep.
And that was a game changer for me and how I shifted my schedule and figuring out the energy sucks throughout your day. It doesn't matter if you like something. Like, I love strategy calls with my systems clients, but that does not mean that I'm not completely drained after a 2-hour Zoom call, because that's so much brain power. And I used to do those from like 9 to 11 in the morning. And then I would get absolutely nothing done the rest of the day because I was so tired. And so I did a lot of figuring out what are the energy drains as far as tasks go on my calendar, what are my most productive times of day and days of the week too. So Thursdays, nobody on my team is in. So I have a whole day where I don't have Slacks or emails or team
I'm
check-ins
laughing
or
because
anything
I
like
just
that.
got a Slack. And
They
I'm
are.
answering it because she needs it. So
So Thursdays to me, I mean, absolutely adore my team, but Thursdays are sacred quiet time. So I don't typically, I mean, I know today is Thursday, but like typically I don't do meetings on Thursdays, but I was out yesterday and I'm out tomorrow. So case in point for today having 3 meetings. But typically Thursday is like a quiet work day where I just get to go and crank things out and it's glorious. So I figured that out on my calendar and managed time in that sense. And then on the energy side of strategy call or support calls or all of that, I was like, okay, stop doing these things in the morning and then killing 6 hours of your workday afterwards. So I started shifting all of my calls to be from availability from 1 to 5 Eastern time. And so now I can have a chunk typically, especially now with daylight savings time, my husband's new job, he's leaving at like 6:55 in the morning. So I'm like, well, I might as well get up. And so I'm getting up, I'm getting at least an hour and a half of time in before my team gets in. And so I'm trying to make the morning be much more focused work on the business development, not diving into client work right away. To me, the business development takes a lot more brain power and energy, whether it's marketing or brainstorming content or whatever it is, creating courses, recording courses. They're all the things that I resist so much. And so I'm like, okay, just get that done first thing in the morning. It's the eat the frog concept. And so I will try to do focused work, then get into the client work is so easy for me at this point after doing, hundreds of honeybook setups and photo sessions and all of that. Editing and making workflows is easy. Designing smart files, all of that. So I'm like, okay, leave that for your non-peak energy times. I still need some energy for it.
yeah.
But then knowing that I hit my energy slump at 2 o'clock, I actually started doing some research on that and realized I was just deficient in certain vitamins. And so I started taking magnesium and vitamin B6 and B12 and like all that stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, now I don't really hit that 2 p.m. slump. And so it's not always time or task. Sometimes it's literally like health related, and you just need to eat a
Yeah.
better lunch or take vitamins or drink more water, and then you'll have more energy. And so I feel like that is just so much of time management is knowing your energy and knowing how it fluctuates throughout a day, throughout a week, throughout your hormone cycle if you are female and you have the freaking 28-day mess that we get to deal with.
Well, I'm in the next phase, and so the energy is even lower there. So
Oh, yay.
you know,
So yeah, I just wanted to note all those things that energy is a huge factor into time management.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely an unbalanced balance,
Yeah.
and it's like juggling. And my hold on, let me
How
see.
about that?
I
Yeah,
had a comment.
too.
Hi, Lee. Haley. You know Haley Romero, don't you?
Maybe.
She's another one of the pros.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see your headshot. I literally go by headshots for I'm like, I don't know anybody's last name.
And she's my CFO. So
Oh,
shout
heck
out to
yeah.
her. It's not fun experience in the beginning, but she's amazing. So that's the level of business adulting that I'm in, is having somebody, you
Love
know.
it. Oh, Davia also commented going through
Mhm.
burnout right now. Davia, do you have any like particular questions? Because I could talk about time all day long.
Yeah. Well, I could talk about burnout. So
Oh, yeah, me too. That's
I could
why
talk
all
about
this
burnout.
started.
I
I
that was me last year.
Yeah.
Um, I would say last year was definitely the hardest year so far when it came to energy. between Davia said hers was 2 years ago. Yeah. Last year was hard. I had a death of somebody I was close to. I had invested boatloads of money into like a rebrand that just did not rebrand the way it was supposed to. And I'm glad you're great now, Davia.
Yeah, me too.
But it was just like big money, big decisions, not the big outcome that I thought. And then I'm doubting myself. And then I have somebody that I care about that passed. And then it was just like a snowball. So that by the summertime, summertime for me is crazy because my little one swims year round, but then she swims another team during the summer. So it's two teams at the same time. And by the summertime, mentally, I was tapped.
Yeah.
And at a point where I didn't even, not to say I didn't work. I mean, I answered questions when my team had questions. If somebody booked a call, I did the call. But it wasn't until like August where I'm now looking at my financials and it's like, where'd the clients go? We had a few, but it was like, we've been like hopping all year and where did the clients go? And it's like, oh, that's right. I do all of the business development and I haven't talked to anyone and I've been like in hiding and I've been just sitting here, like numb. It was probably the best word. And it was to a point where it was like, people would ask me a question and I literally just couldn't give you an answer. My team would be like, hey, do you think we should implement this or this? And my constant answer was, I don't know. Whatever you think. I trust your answer. My husband could ask, what do you want to please don't do that. Don't ask me that. Don't attack me like that. But I did some therapy, which helped some, but I just kind of had to call it out and say like, this has been like some bullshit this year.
Yeah.
And it like took a good portion of pretty much most of last year to the point where this year I try to be intentional, like I said, with time and things like that. But this year, even more.
Yeah.
And being even more like hard on the boundaries. And it's like, my joking phrase is like respectfully, and then I'm probably going to hit you with something that you might not have wanted to hear. But this year, people are hearing it even more because it's just like, even when whether it's a personal thing or business thing, I get invited to networking things all the time. Like, are you going to this? No. And why? I'm like, because I can see the attendees. I know most of them. I like people just fine. It's not worth my time to get dressed in public clothes, get in the car, drive in the car, sit in this room with people that I already know that are not my ideal client and can't refer my ideal client.
Yeah.
Go back home. It's wasted. It's absolutely wasted time just for the sake of being nice and showing my face. I'm not. Right. So it's like, if there's nothing, and it sounds selfish when I'm about to say what I'm about to say, but it's kind of like, if there is nothing in it for me, whether it's money for business or leads or whatever, or relationships that I'm going to enjoy, or personal relationships that I'm going to enjoy, or something that helps my family, I'm not doing it. I'm just, and so for me, I think taking that ownership back has helped calm, the things
on the nervous system.
And then being, like I said, being honest, like I've had some crazy days because I've said yes to some programs that I want to be part of. It's more time.
Yep.
And I think for the last 3 days this week, I've had back-to-back meetings and didn't eat. So I was like, I hopped on a call yesterday and I said, so, hey, hi, give me a few minutes. I'll be right back. And she's like, you okay? Yes, I need to get water and I'm going to get some food and I'm going to take care of you, but I'm going to eat. And if that bothers you, we can reschedule, but otherwise I'll be back in a few minutes. But it's not how I want to do it. But I think just being honest about the version that, like, being honest about who I am that day.
Yeah, totally.
Whether it's I'm the tired version that day, or I'm the super chill version that day. I joke about the fact I've been late for work every day for all 5 years of my business. I'm late for work at home. Like, that's a thing every single day. Whatever the first call is, it's just, I'm going to be late.
I really had a nightmare this morning because I had a photo shoot. So I drove up to Rhode Island yesterday and back from New Jersey. And so I was in the car for 8 hours, got back at close to midnight, and I had a 9:30 support call for HoneyBook. And I was having nightmares all night that I missed the call. But Haley asked, can I answer this? Any tips on avoiding burnout together? I have found I tend to go until I start feeling it in my body. Okay. Yes. I would say what Tonisha was just saying, in a phrase, protect your yeses. The phrase that I was filtering everything through. So this was something I started doing in 2020, I want to say, is I figured out what really lit me up and what drained my energy. And I started using the phrase, am I pursuing this out of love or lack? And typically it's much harder to burn out if you are putting yeses on your calendar, whether it's projects or personal, if they are being pursued out of love. If you are pursuing a project out of lack, meaning scarcity mindset, oh, I just need this person's money, so I'm going to sign them. Or I feel like I need to go to this birthday party because they invited me. Like, those are when you start snowballing the path to burnout. I think there's different types of burnout. I think there's energy burnout. I think there's like misalignment. So like it's very easy to work a normal amount of hours but feel burnt out because you're out of alignment with the yeses that are on your calendar. I also think though that there is time burnout, which was the burnout that I hit for sure. I loved my business, but because I didn't have it streamlined in 2013 to 15, I was working, like I said in the beginning, 80 hours a week. That was also with my full-time job. So that wasn't just my business, but it was like 40 business, 40 full-time job. So I was time burnt out, not sleeping, not taking care of myself at all. So I would just say to Haley, like, protect your yeses, figure out the things that are a hell yes versus a no versus a maybe. I think there are seasons where you do need to pursue things out of lack. Like right now is a slow booking season for me. So if somebody was like, yeah, I'll pay $3,000 for this, I'll be like, okay, even if you're not perfectly aligned, like I'll take it. So like it doesn't need to be this like end all be all where you're only taking hell yeses all the time. But I do think that that helps for sure. And I think that on a daily basis, asking yourself, this is easier said than done, but just asking yourself, like, what do I need right now? Like sometimes I'll hit that 2 p.m. slump, vitamins aside, like it'll happen and I'll be like, okay, what do I need right now? Do I need water? Do I need to walk outside? Do I need a 5-minute stretch break? Am I in a bad mood? Do I need to put on a good playlist? And so it's just consistently and constantly asking yourself, what do I need in this moment? Is it self-care? Do I need to just power through and be productive so I can be done? And sometimes it's just a mental reset that you need for that day, that hour, that minute. So that's something I try to ask myself a lot. And yeah, I think that like adulting in general is like real easy to burn out because we have a lot on our plate and it gets more and more and more every year. But I think chasing alignment is definitely helpful in the non-burnout category.
Adulthood is the worst hood of them all.
Yeah.
And then when you add entrepreneurship adulting, it's definitely a different level. I love all your tips. I agree with all of your tips. And then, like I said, just being honest, but also honest with the people. There's been times, thankfully not a whole lot, but there's been a few days where it's been heavy enough that I knew that if I got on calls, I wasn't going to really provide any value. Body on a screen. And so I message clients and say, listen, I hope you understand, but I'm also like prepared if you don't.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm not going to get on this call. I need to reschedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thankfully, because I'm also intentional in the clients that we take. Yes, there's some times where you need the money, but if I genuinely don't enjoy you, if I'm dreading you on screen, I'm not taking you. I don't care how much the money it is.
Yeah.
Because history has shown that drains my energy twice as fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now I'm walking into my own business with my name on this business, dreading the client that I'm working with. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's crazy talk. I shouldn't have to do that. But I've had a few moments that I've had to say, I don't have it today. I don't. I
Yep.
got nothing. I'm in a dark room eating pho, sitting on the couch. That's pretty much all I got today.
Yeah.
And then, thankfully having a team that also fills me up versus draining me.
Yeah.
The difference too, because sometimes the support we hire isn't supportive.
Right.
Either because they weren't the right pick, or you didn't have the systems or processes aligned before you brought the support in.
Yeah.
People tend to think I need to hire support and they can create my systems, and it very rarely works that well. And so having a team and stuff is great, but having a team is not really supportive if they take more than they give. And to the point where I don't do a whole lot of client work myself. I do some, but they're like at a point now where that's another large area of support that they provide. We all on my team know the areas that I shouldn't touch.
Yeah.
Fun fact, last week we decided to implement Go High Level. So for all of my tech nerds out there, we're going to be offering that soon. And I decided to start setting it up myself. I did it 99% correctly. Planned. My Friday afternoon was free. My husband's like, this is what you're doing Friday night. I was like, yes. And I'm so excited.
Yep.
So what I've learned the hard way, and my team agrees, if the word subdomain is involved, I shouldn't touch it. It was now the connection worked. So let me just say that I used the wrong domain though. So then I basically took away the team's whole email, and everybody's like, I'm not getting this message. And I'm like, yeah, I emailed it to you. Yeah, it was all sitting in one little section of Go High Level. And I mean, all of our emails, the whole team's emails in one place. And I was just like, man, it's quiet. My email's never this quiet. I don't see it because it wasn't coming to me anymore. I learned yesterday after I had a team member fix it all. Thank you, Maria. That I also, in doing that, disconnected our website.
Oh.
And so, somebody's like, did you freak out? I was like, no. I chalked it up to oops. And I messaged Maria and I said, hey, guess what? We don't have a website right now. Please help. Thanks. So I think the other thing when it comes to like time management and stuff is having your support actually support you. Not just humans in a space, not just humans you pay, but people that genuinely are supporting you, and knowing that I could get sick. I've had surgery. I've had burnout days. I've had all kinds of things. And because of that support actually being solid, the business keeps going because they're still taking amazing care of the clients. But in the same token, when they're burnout and tired, they wave the flag and they tap out, and then somebody else, so they're looking out for not just me, but for each other as well. So I think that value, whether it's in your business or in your household, if you have a partner, if you don't have a partner, if you have a friend, being able to really pull from people that are there and like genuinely legit have your back is probably one of the biggest things next to honoring your boundaries. I think that really controls and helps with time management. It helps to prevent that burnout. It helps preventing the isolation. And yes, LG, teamwork makes the dream work. And yes, it was a great day as I was jacking everything up, but luckily I have a sense of humor about things, and as I remind the clients, I do systems and I do automation. Those are my things.
Yep.
I don't do design. You don't want me doing that. I can do certain websites, but for the most part, you don't want me touching that either. But that's great because I have a whole bunch of people that are amazing at it. And so I'm good at strategy. I can think big picture. You don't really always want me one touching the buttons is what we're learning in 2024, but it's all good. So, so we have been chatting it up for a while, and I want to be honoring your time. And so is there anything you want to share? You got anything, any promotions, specials, any of the stuff going on?
Well, if anybody needs brand photography or, honeybook help, call me or Tonisha. Don't call Tonisha for brand photography. Call me up for brand photography. Websites, honeybook, whatever support people need. My whole mission is to help people find freedom and be able to pursue their passions with more ease. And I love elevating businesses, whether it is strategy, photography, design. I love, love, love like taking a business from like 50 to 100. I'm like, hell yeah, game on. So yeah, you can find me at either findyourfreedomco.com or lauraleecreative.com. We have decided that we're going to move all of our services back over to Lauralee Creative, because I think that when I separated systems to find your freedom, I think I lost a lot of people who wanted me for photography and coaching as well. And I realized like I built the Lauralee Creative name around being multi-passionate for 8 years. And then I was like, I need to put myself in a box. And then it was the wrong move. So we're going back to lauraleecreative.com and Lauralee Creative on Instagram. But I don't have any. Other than my podcast is launching soon. That's
Yay.
the only thing. If people want to listen to the Find Your Freedom podcast, that is coming out probably April. It was supposed to be last week, and I forgot I was part of one of those bundle launches. And I was like, I'm not going to overwhelm my newsletter with like, listen to the podcast and buy this bundle and all these things. So that'll be coming out soon, which is great. I have like 12 interviews already edited and scheduled. So thanks, Haley. So that's super exciting. But I do want to leave also with a tip of my favorite. I don't know if I would call it a time management strategy, more so productivity and task management. But we switched over to doing 2-week sprints on our team. And so in ClickUp, we have a 2-week sprint board, and we have biz development as the main task, and then clients as the parent task. And I think that honestly might be it. Oh, and content and marketing. So those are our 3 parent tasks. And then we make the subtasks like the very highest level of what has to happen in that 2 weeks. So like finish Nick's HoneyBook implementation, start Kathleen's HoneyBook strategy. And we have other projects that have all the nitty gritty, like subtasks and all that stuff. But sometimes I do great on that because I'm like, ooh, dopamine hit. Yep, did that. And I'm checking off all these things. But switching to this 2-week sprint where it's just like, these are the big rocks that have to happen in 2 weeks has been such a huge breath of fresh air. And when you're working in that type of time limit, time boundary, if you have 2 bad days in the 2 weeks, like you still had 8 good days to get stuff done. So it's not like you have to be productive every single day. Like I know by next Friday, I have to have these 8 big rocks done to move the business forward, move client projects forward. And if I had a bad Tuesday or I was out Wednesday, like doesn't matter as long as I hit that 2-week sprint deadline. So just a tip for anybody, that was a really, really helpful change that we made, because it used to just be like, we have this task and this task and this subtask and this project and blah, 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 and like all these things. And I didn't feel like I had the big vision around it. So just to always like to leave with a tip, that was huge for us and for me, because there are days where I feel really creative and days I feel really strategic and days where I'm just like, I'm just going to play solitaire. And so having the flexibility in a 2-week period to be like, I want to be creative today, I want to write today, was huge. So I would encourage
Funny
anybody.
how we use a lot of the same tools, and our brains are completely different.
Oh, yeah.
For me, we just built templates for everything. And then it's like, we've done HoneyBook a gajillion times. So we just have a template, just follow the template.
Oh, yeah.
We are website. So it's cool that the flexibility. And I think that's the thing, also with time management and being honest with how you work, is how you can be you have options, I guess is the point.
Yeah.
I'm getting at. And it's okay to play with them until you figure out which one fits.
Yes.
So if you want to put the links to any of your stuff in the comments after we finish, that'd be awesome. For me, couple things. I have space this month for one VIP day, which is an automation day. If you have tools that you're not trying to change a whole lot and you just need them all automated and connected, come see your girl. It's 4 to 6 hours of me with buttons that I'm safe to press because I do automation. Zap and I are best friends. So I'm available for that. So I have space for one VIP day. I have an opening for one-to-one client. That is a 3-month engagement with you and me as besties, business-wise. And then 2 SEO audits and 1 systems audit. So that's what I got open for this month. I will put the links in the comments. I too am part of a bundle launch this week. And so I will make sure you guys are aware of all of those things. Yay. So lots of fun stuff going on. And I am so excited that you're with me. I'm actually about to take my time and I'm going to get my nails done.
Yay! Good.
That's my one self-care thing. So, but yeah, so
I'll give you a link to, I have a ultimate productivity guide that we sell in our shop that is, you guys, it is so good. It is.
Throw it in there. Share it.
8 or 11 chapters on so many different things for productivity. It's my system. It's yearly planning, quarterly planning, 2-week sprints, weekly planning, daily planning. It has all of that. So there's a lot of planning, but there's also goes over tons of different productivity methods so that I'm giving you like the entire toolbox I know about productivity and time management. And then you get to like build your own toolbox because like you said, our brains clearly work so differently. Yep. And so I kind of dump everything that I have learned about being obsessed with the topic of productivity and time management over the years into that. And I gave it to one of my employees, Kate, and she was like, I just had the most productive day of my entire life after reading this. I was like, yay. And they're like, I haven't really like sold it or like pushed it at all. And she's like, why are you not talking about this every day? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, make sure to share it with people so they can try it out.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at it as well. But thank you everybody for joining us. You'll see, you can catch the replay on YouTube and you'll see some clips on our socials. But thank you guys so much. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Happy Thursday.